President Donald Trump's recent interview upon returning to the United States underscores a familiar pattern. A high-profile promise delivered amid a backdrop of sagging approval ratings and recurring accusations of misrepresentation. On Air Force One, Mr. Trump delivered an optimistic announcement about future tax cuts, asserting that tariff revenues would soon render income taxes obsolete. But this proclamation must be viewed in the context of his broader record of unfulfilled deadlines and contested claims. Recent national surveys paint a stark picture of the president's standing. A Washington Post ABC Ipsos poll recorded his approval at a mere 39%, his lowest score at the 100-day mark of any presidency in the past 80 years. Similarly, CNN own polling registered support at 41%, marking the network's lowest figure since it first began tracking presidential popularity. These figures reflect a precipitous decline that Mr. Trump has sought to counter with bold economic promises. Central to his message is the claim that revenue from newly imposed tariffs will generate enough funds to enact sweeping tax relief. In an on-camera statement shortly after disembarking from his flight, Mr. Trump proclaimed that tariff proceeds would allow for the complete elimination of income taxes. He suggested that American households could soon enjoy a comprehensive tax cut funded entirely by duties on imported goods. This pledge echoes previous assurances that have failed to materialize, calling into question both feasibility and timing. Observers have long noted Mr. Trump's affinity for setting definitive, but ultimately moving deadlines. This tendency dates back to his days as a real estate developer, where investors were enticed with promises of quick turnarounds, only to find projects delayed or abandoned. In public office, he'd replicated this approach. During his first term, he repeatedly vowed to unveil a detailed healthcare plan within 2 weeks. That commitment never came to fruition, as evidenced by a now infamous 60 Minutes interview in which his aide presented a binder purportedly filled with policy specifics, only for the interviewer, Leslie Stahl, to discover blank pages. A similar script has unfolded regarding Mr. Trump's assurances about brokering peace in Ukraine. Early in his presidency, he claimed he could leverage personal ties with Zelensky, as he pronounced Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian President Vladimir Putin to negotiate a settlement within 24 hours. Despite these bold assertions, the conflict has not abated and negotiations remain stalled. Most recently, Mr. Trump once again invoked a 2-week timeline, promising a deal that has yet to appear. Behind the scenes, the US economy is showing tangible signs of strain. Freight volume data reveal that vessels loaded with goods bound for American ports are stored in Chinese harbors, such as Shanghai. Correspondingly, major West Coast terminals, including Long Beach, are experiencing unusually low throughput. Industry analysts warn that if this disruption persists, retail shelves could face shortages within 2 to 3 weeks, even if a trade agreement is suddenly reached. In effect, the economic damage has already been inflicted. Corporate leaders across several sectors are sounding alarms. Executives at Walmart, Target, and Home Depot have cautioned that prolonged tariff disputes risk pushing the nation toward a downturn. Similarly, representatives from the airline and automotive industries have urged Mr. Trump to reconsider his strategy, warning that sustained trade barriers could precipitate a broader economic slump. Yet, the administration shows no sign of adjusting course, instead doubling down on tariff rhetoric. When questioned about progress in negotiations with China, Mr. Trump offered a cautious explanation. They're trying a little bit, he said, noting that a 145% tariff rate effectively halted bilateral commerce. He nevertheless insisted that a viable agreement remained possible, albeit without specifying a firm timeline. Such ambiguity reflects what Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent described over the weekend as a strategic uncertainty, a negotiating tactic aimed at keeping counterparts off balance. Critics, however, liken the approach to a high-stakes shell game, pointing to the absence of concrete results, even as promises accumulate. Polling among independent voters further underscores the political risk. In April, Fox News recorded the president's approval at just 26% among independents. The New York Times found 29% support, CNN 31%, YouGov 30%, CBS 36%, and ABCWP Ipsos 33%. 33%. Across these surveys, Mr. Trump remains underwater, suggesting that his trademark bombast and deadline-driven proclamations may be alienating the very electorate he must win over. Another example of ephemeral timelines surfaced in early April when Mr. Trump introduced the so-called a Trump gold card. And gold card, promoted as a $5 million investment opportunity that would confer US citizenship upon Russian and Chinese oligarchs, the card was billed as being a less than 2 weeks away. No public rollout followed, and the proposal has since faded from view, joining a catalogue of initiatives announced with fanfare and later abandoned. More troubling, perhaps, is the role of senior officials in perpetuating the narrative. Mr. Besant, in defending the administration's record, claimed that Mr. Trump had secured 200 deals on tariffs. When pressed to specify these agreements, the Treasury Secretary referred to as sub-deals within ongoing discussions, an admission that no binding treaty or framework had been finalized. Such terminology prompted comparisons to wirehouse schemes, where small internal transactions obscure the absence of substantive progress. As the pattern of unkept assurances unfolded, Mr. Trump shifted his attention to cultural controversies, most recently by championing the reinstatement of Columbus Day. In remarks to reporters, he accused Democrats of tearing down statues of the explorer and blamed woke activists for erasing history. This pivot illustrates a familiar tactic. When confronted with criticism on policy fronts, the administration turns to divisive social issues to rally its base. Some, the president's return. Flight Interview offers a microcosm of his larger modus operandi: optimistic forecasts, vivid promises, and firm yet shifting deadlines. Amid low approval ratings and mounting economic warning signs, these tactics raise questions about accountability and deliverability. Deliverability. Viewers are left to weigh each new declaration against a track record of deadlines that pass unmarked and initiatives that remain unrealized. For in-depth analysis and further coverage of these developments, tune in to the Midas Touch Network. Support independent reporting. Explore our latest merchandise, sticker packs, t-shirts, hats, sweatshirts, and more available now at store midas.com.